How's it going, Welcome back to the Great North. Welcome to my first early summer lawn update video. Today we're going to be going over spring, early summer watering tips, how to keep your lawn green all summer, as well as giving you an update on everything else that's going on here in the lawn. So without further ado, let's get right into it. For those of you new here, my name is Wade Murray. I'm a lawn care enthusiast and I worked in the industry, and my goal of this channel is to help teach you to have the best lawn on the block. So if that sounds like a good idea to you, make sure to click that subscribe button and hit the like button down below so people know that this video is good, and share the video with your friends and family so everybody can get help and understand how to have the best lawn on the block. Alright, so without further ado, it's been a while since we did a quick tour of the lawn, so let's walk around and go around the lawn. But before we get into that, let's talk about the weather a little bit. So we've had probably the rainiest spring that I can remember in short-term memory. Between the end of August and the end of May, we probably had about 7-8 inches of rain. Pretty much no sun at all. Highs in the 15 to 20s, which is pretty cool for where we're heading into now. Last weekend we had Monday and it was 7 degrees. So today is currently July 16th. And we are finally heading into the first heat wave of the year, heat event. There's a heat dome coming. It's going to be sitting over top of our area probably for the next week and a bit, leading into Canada Day. So, but without further ado, let's look at how everything's doing. Everything's growing really well just because of the rain that we've had, but there has been a couple struggles here and there. Alright, so for starters, here is the back lawn. So this back lawn here was treated with a granular application in the spring, and then treated with a second granular application about halfway through May, and then it has been treated with its first liquid application yesterday. That's why you can see all those footprints there. All in all, really happy with how this is looking. It's very thick, healthy, green and lush. Not seeing a lot of thatch buildup here. I'm happy that I can see the soil. As you can tell, it is starting to get a little bit dry here. We haven't had rain in about 3 days, which has been out of the normal for what we've been seeing lately. So the lawn's getting a little spoiled and thinking that 3 days without rain is really dry. I've been cutting this at 3 3/4. As you know, long-time viewers of the channel know I normally cut around 4 inches, but last year I noticed with the humidity, the disease was festering in this. So I decided to drop it to 3 3/4 this year and see if that 1/4 inch helps make a big difference. With all of the rain we've had, it's been growing non-stop, and I do mulch my clippings because I'm trying to return that nitrogen into the soil, but there is getting to the point where some of these clippings are starting to become unmanageable. So, but I think as stuff slows down into the summer here, we should be more than happy to go. But as you can see, very thick and lush, and the irrigation system is doing very well, keeping up with this. We just ran a cycle last night, and those liquid applications do wonders for making everything thick and healthy. For those of you wondering what grass type this back lawn is, a lot of fescue over here in the shading areas, and then a creeping red fescue and Kentucky bluegrass mix in the back, and there is a little bit of rye mixed in as well. But that's what's going on in the back lawn. And I've also been fighting with clover, like I always do. I just sprayed some of this out yesterday with Fiesta, so we're getting a good handle on it down in here. It should be out before we know it. But other than that, not really seeing a lot of broadleaf weeds back here. Odd dandelion here and there. Not seeing any crabgrass yet. Cross your fingers. I don't normally struggle with a lot of crabgrass, but it is something that I've had in the past, and a little bit of knotweed here and there. But I think if we keep going on the current watering cycle I am on the back here, which we'll talk about a bit later, then I don't see why we should see any problems back here this summer. Obviously things are not going to be as happy as they are right now, but all in all, I mean, we've had a dry spell now for the last couple days and not seeing any wilt yet. So you can normally kind of see wilt like maybe in here, where you see the grass start to change different colors, but not seeing any wilt in through here yet. And as far as we go over here, these are the grow-in spots from earlier. As I said, it's been a long time since we did an update, but we did an aeration and overseed on this lawn about first week into May, and we had a couple grow-in spots. This is this one over here. I mean, looking very good actually. Very happy with how that spot is looking. Filled in very nicely. This is the Growforge Elite Turfgrass blend here, and probably a lot of fescue and in this shaded area under here. And then over here we have the other grow-in spot. This one fared not as good, but I mean, it's some sort of ground cover just to hold this in from constantly washing away over the next. In the fall, we're going to try to reseed, see if we can make a difference here. But you know, it's something, and that's what we'll take over it. And then as well, in the past, I have always struggled with grass under these trees. Continuously overseeding is normally the way that I go to go about it, but there's just so much of a dense shade canopy here. But I always used to get ruts where the riding mower would go. So now I've been using my Toro Time Master just to cut. You can see kind of the 4 passes I cut with the Time Master. I don't start with the X300 John Deere till after here, and that's been helping this shade area a lot. So I might continue to do that and see how that's coming in here. But that's the update with the back lawn. Really happy with it. It seems very happy, and I don't see why there would be any problems back here leading into the summer other than dry. We're going to be fighting dry. So in the summer back here, we're going to be testing a couple things, testing some new wetting agents, synthetic and organic. I got some from Growforge we're going to be testing back here, as well as we're going to be testing a couple different water cycles. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later in the video when I talk about how to water your lawn. So it's a couple things we're going to be testing back there to try to keep it green. We're going to continue it on the liquid program bi-weekly for the rest of the summer. The Organohume, Balance Line, Straight Line, and the TPA wetting agent is normally what I run on my bi-weekly program, all in one application. It normally helps keep things growing and happy. Obviously, I normally try not to apply when we're at a time of deep stress like this heat dome that's coming next week, but as long as we're out of that, then that's something we can keep applying back there to keep that happy. But as you can see, stripes are looking really good. The grass back there is looking great. So without further ado, let's take a look now at the front lawn. Alright everybody, so behind me is my front lawn. As you can see back there, looking very, very good for this time of year. This lawn so far is only treated with Growforge liquid products. So it got 2 applications of Organohume, TPA, and TNT starter in the spring, and then went to the Balance Line, Straight Line applications happening bi-weekly throughout the better part of the summer. So without further ado, let's take a look at the front lawn and see how it's doing. So another new thing that I implemented in the front lawn this year is I did start cutting with the Toro Time Master exclusively. So last year I started this in the fall, and I did notice that the compaction issues were greatly fixed. I used to get a lot of ruts, and I used to get a lot of weeds forming in the ruts when I used to cut this lawn with the riding mower so much. And that's because this lawn is a little tight. This front lawn is not super big. There's a lot of weird curves, and then after we had this landscaping done last year as well, this curve got even tighter. There's these little areas. It's not an easy lawn to cut with a riding mower, and you used to end up with a lot of ruts, a lot of high traffic areas. And as you can see, we had an air conditioner installed a couple weeks ago, and this is what happens in the high traffic areas. When they get matted down, you end up with some dead blades, and then you get this kind of brown cast over the lawn. But all in all, I mean, this lawn is looking really, really good. Pick a section of the lawn, take a look at it. For those of you who remember last year, I was actually looking at some old footage. This is the area of the lawn that got hit really hard with disease last year. And I mean, it is still thinner than the rest, you can tell. But all in all, looking really good, really good. We normally get disease in here just because of the lack of airflow from the front lawn this way. And this lawn is manually irrigated, and we've been keeping it on a cycle. I put about a ½ inch down every 3 days, and that tends to work. I mean, there is this big tree here and those other trees around which kind of protect it from the sun a bit. But all in all, I mean, looking very happy and healthy. Very dense canopy here. And this is what I really like about the cutting with the Time Master, is that the lawn tends to stand up a lot happier and healthier, and nothing, and I mean this, Toro is not paying me to say this, but nothing meets the cut quality of that Time Master. And I know I keep teasing it, but there will be a review coming up very soon where we talk about the Time Master, but nothing by far beats the cut quality and mulching quality of that Time Master. So yeah, very happy with how this front lawn is looking. The color response too is great. I love the color response from the straight line product. So really happy with how this is looking. We are still fighting some persistent, opportunistic weeds. Got some chickweed in here, clover, white clover. Again, I hit this with Fiesta yesterday, so that's hopefully start taking care of itself, as well as there is some, other things mixed in here, not weed, mainly just white clover though. That's the biggest thing I normally fight. But the color here, like even on camera, you can just see. Look at the color of the lawn there. It looks great. And the Checkmate lawn striper on the Toro Time Master 2 leaves a great stripe. And there's nothing like the experience of mowing with the Time Master 2. I can't talk up that mower enough. And talking about, as you can see, great texture, great color. I know my stripes are super straight there, but great texture, great color. Super love the way that this mower does to this lawn here. You can see here the true compaction test. So because there is the side lawn project that's been going on, I have to bring the riding mower through the front lawn here and around to get to the back lawn to cut that. And you can see here, see the areas here where the grass is kind of lying over? That is from that riding mower running through here. And that's what happens when you get a lot of compaction. And imagine that evenly spread out over your entire lawn. So this is what the pros that you can get from not using a mower that creates a lot of compaction is a more even, consistent, even when you bring the camera down, very even, consistent cut, which I'm super happy about. So plans for the back lawn here, we're going to continue to mitigate the weed problems. We're going to continue with the all liquid program for most of the summer, and we're going to cycle it onto a Gain 28 program in the fall, to be applying some extra nitrogen throughout the fall to hopefully get it kick started for next spring, so then we don't have to use any granular up here at all. We've been on no granular now for 3 years, and I am loving the results, but I want to see if that Gain 28 can help give me that extra boost, because I do find that the liquid fertilizers are a little slow in the spring, and if that Gain 28 can help give me the extra boost, then that would be huge help here in the back. But all in all, really happy with this, continuing it with cutting with a Time Master, continuing my regular watering cycle, and everything here should look good for the rest of the summer. So without further ado, now it's time for the big reveal. Let's go take a look at how the side test plots are doing. Alrighty, here's the big reveal. Yesterday was actually 4 weeks since these test plots were planted. Lots of weeds coming in to these ones, but as you can see, so here we are, the GrowForge turf grass test plots behind me, brought to you by GrowForge. Check it out in the link in the description down below, and use code GGN23 to get access to those plots as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at how they're doing, and we'll have a full and complete update on the plots coming out next week. But here's just a quick look at how they're doing. We did the first mow about a week ago, so here is the GrowForge Elite Turf Grass plot. Looking really good in here. There's a lot more sun in here. Over here, a little thin and sparse, but I believe that is because there's more shade over here from the trees, and this area did get a little bit washed out when it rained. So we're going to keep slamming this with fertilizer if we can get it to fill in. If we can't get it to fill in, I think it will probably need a slight overseed. Moving on to the fescue plots 1 and 2. There was the Garnet fescue, and I believe it was the Santima. I think this one was the Garnet. These fescue plots came in really well. I'm noticing that they weren't too kind to the mower blades rolling through there. They did kind of lie over a little bit, but I'm interested to see how fast that recovers. I mean, it is still very new, and they are still a little thin and sparse, and they do need some water, as you can see, starting to dry out over here. But yeah, this is the first fescue plot, and the second fescue plot is right over here. So these plots fared really well. As you can see, really thick, nice stand of turf grass. Next is the SR 2100, I believe, Kentucky bluegrass plot. This one I'm actually really impressed by. This plot's coming in really well for Kentucky bluegrass. 4 weeks. I mean, this is almost a full stand of turf grass here. And then finally, the Mercury Kentucky bluegrass plot. This one again is a little thin, but again, I mean, for Kentucky bluegrass at 4 weeks, really impressed by how these plots look. So we're going to be running the sprinklers on these throughout the heat wave to kind of nurse them through. As I said, first mow done. We've been hammering this with the GrowForge TPA starter every 7 days. So this is why it's coming in so well. Again, full update on the plots coming next week. And we have a podcast coming next week as well with a special guest. But here is the update on the plots quickly here. Alright, so without further ado, I think it's time to sit down and go over some early summer lawn tips. With this heat dome coming, first thing that we're going to talk about is water. Lots of questions I get about watering your lawn. Why is my lawn turning brown? What's going on with my lawn? I've been watering it like crazy, it's not responding. The two biggest things to keep in mind when watering your lawn is deep and infrequent. You want to be watering your lawn deep. No, none of this watering your lawn for 10 and 15 minutes every day. You need to be watering your lawn for about a ½ inch of water. So how you can tell this is take a tuna can or a Tupperware container, put it out in the grass about halfway of the distance that your sprinkler can throw the water, and then time how long it takes to get a ½ inch of water filling up in that Tupperware container or that tuna can, and that's going to tell you how long it takes for your system to put out a ½ inch of water. Most households in a residential area, it's a half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to put out a ½ inch of water, depending on your water pressure as well as your water flow. So once you know how long it takes for you to put a ½ inch of water, you're going to be putting that down every 2 to 3 days, depending on your area. But there's a lot of other factors that go into watering your lawn, and let's talk about those now. The first factor that goes into watering your lawn is ET rate, or evapotranspiration rate. This is basically your evaporation, the amount of water that your soil loses to evaporation every day, as well as your transpiration, which is basically your lawn sweating. If you feel your lawn on a hot day, you'll notice that it is a little damp, and that's transpiration. That's how the lawn cools itself off. Just like you and me, your lawn sweats when it's really hot out. So you do lose water due to transpiration. So if you have an irrigation system with Rainbird or Hunter, or if you have access to some sort of greencast tool where you can see your local evapotranspiration rate or even evapotranspiration rate at a golf course near you, that way you can tell how much water you are losing every day, and you can do a 0-0 input solution. Basically, you are going to be returning the water that you lost during the day every night. This doesn't mean that you have to return all the water you lost. In those hot days in the summer, you will not be able to return all the water you lost, and you do have to manage your expectations. There is infinite amount of turf grasses out there, and they all only look good for 4 months of the year, and the rest of that year they're going to look brown, dead, and dormant. So the best thing to do is to manage your expectations. Know that your lawn is going to struggle. It's not going to look like it did in that May growth flush. It is going to struggle through the summer, but you need to help nurse it through the summer with those deep and infrequent watering. So putting down a ½ inch about every 2 to 3 days, that's the best way you're going to help be able to keep your lawn green and healthy. Now, if you do have a Hunter system, I do recommend using their virtual solar sink. It is great. I've been implementing it in my lawn this year, and I've noticed miles different in the improvement of the watering from me just doing it myself. If you are a busy person like I am, virtual solar sink is a great way. Definitely check up on it, take a look at it, see what it's doing. That's what I normally do. I monitor it and provide my own inputs as well, but virtual solar sink is definitely a great way to push you in the right direction. I'm sure Rainbird has a similar type of thing. I don't have a Rainbird controller personally, so I don't know, but that would be something that I would be sure that they do have as well. Another thing when it comes to watering your lawn, there is a dew point or humidity level. So when you have these days like this heat dome that's coming up where it's going to be 40 degrees, it is not 40 degrees from the heat. We all know that there is the humidex that makes it feel hotter outside than it actually is. When you get those really hot, humid days and you just feel like you want to peel your skin off, your lawn feels the same way. But humidity is moisture, and when there is moisture in the air, your lawn can pull that moisture out of the air and put it into the soil. So if you are looking at a dew point anywhere 65 to 70, that's a pretty high dew point. You don't have to totally water when you have a high dew point. That high dew point has humidity sitting in the air, and humidity breeds disease. If you are inputting more and more water into your lawn, you're just going to be breeding even more disease, especially if you're watering overnight, because most of the time when you have these high dew points, it's an overnight dew point and it's not going down. So these dew points do help keep your lawn green and healthy in these hot heat waves. Much better to have a hot humid heat wave than a hot dry heat wave. So that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about dew points. So if you are looking and you're seeing that your dew point, which for me in the Great Lakes area and for people across the Midwest, I'm sure during this heat dome event, you are going to have a higher dew point. This means that you don't have to input and supplement as much watering as you would have to as you think you would have to. A higher dew point means there is moisture in the air, and you can probably get away with watering, you know, just about your regular ½ inch of water that you normally put in. You don't have to be, you know, pounding back an inch or 3/4 of an inch of water on these hot days if you have that higher dew point. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're looking more and more into reading about dew points, I am going to be making a full-length video about dew points and evapotranspiration rates coming up very soon. It's something very interesting to research in and to learn about, and I would say that if you're a lawn care enthusiast and you're really looking to help dial in your irrigation for this year, definitely look into dew points and evapotranspiration rates. That's one way you're going to be able to dial in your irrigation. Next thing we're going to be talking about is fertilizer. A big question I get about people a lot is fertilizing in the summer. Should I fertilize in the summer? What should I do? So pushing growth during a time of stress is something that I normally don't recommend when it comes to your lawn. Summer is just the same as winter. It's a time of extreme stress for the plant. That is why it goes brown. That is why it goes into dormancy. Your grass is not dead when it goes brown in the summer. Not necessarily. A lot of the crowns are just conserving water. Instead of growing, they're going to turn brown. They're going to basically go to sleep for the summer until the cooler weather comes and persists in the fall. So for those of you who are wondering about fertilizing in the summer, unless you are irrigating, I would say stay away from it. Don't worry about it. Definitely don't push granular fertilizer during the summer months. I would say for the months of June and July, let's stay away. June, July, and about first 2 weeks of August, let's stay away from using any granular fertilizer. It is just, quite frankly, not needed. But if you're coming out of the spring flush now and you're noticing your lawn is very lime green and it needs some fertilizer, you can go ahead and put down a light dose of granular fertilizer. But with this heat dome coming up, I would say stay away from it. Wait till some cooler temps persist, and then you can put down your light dose. But the best thing to do in the summer is to join our GrowForge products and start spoon feeding your lawn. If you live in the States, you can use something like Simple Lawn Solutions, or Ryan North sells with Lawn Supply Company, or something that can go with some sort of liquid spoon feeding product. This, instead of putting down a pound and a half, 2 pounds of nitrogen in the summer, you are putting down literally 0.4, 0.5 of a pound of nitrogen. You're going to be spraying this on. It's called a foliar application. It's applied to the leaf surface of the plant and absorbed in that way. This most of the time helps give you a little bit of growth, but mainly what you're looking for from this is a nice color response. You're going to be getting a nice color response in the plant. The plant's going to thicken up, toughen up a little bit. There's certain different things like organohumus that's going to help the soil chemistry of the plant. TPA, you're going to help with the soil penetration level, so the water's going to be penetrating deeper into the soil when you get rain, as well as other things like that. So if we are heading into the summer months right now and you are looking at a way that you can go ahead and take care of your own lawn, I would recommend trying the liquid GrowForge products throughout the summer. That's the only fertilizer I would recommend giving over the summer. Some sort of spoon feeding program. You're never going to apply this in the spans of the heat waves, but you can apply it coming out of a heat wave to help kind of nurse the lawn back to health a little bit and say, okay, we made it through this heat wave. Time to, relax. Here's a little bit of food. It's going to be okay, and we're going to prepare ourselves for the next one, because we know that there's going to be about 2 or 3, and once we hit that final one at near the end of July, we're normally pretty safe until the fall. A couple more quick things. Mowing, a big thing that always comes up. How tall do I cut my lawn in the summer? Cutting your lawn a little bit taller in the summer is never a bad idea. Now, this doesn't mean that cutting your lawn shorter in the summer is going to be detrimental to the plant, but the taller the grass blade, the more shaded the root system is, the less chance that your lawn's going to dry out as quickly. But you can do it. Ryan Norr did it for years, cut short turf grass. It is possible. But if you are a beginner, I would suggest cutting your lawn about 3.5 to 3.75 during the summer. This is the best way you're going to help keep your lawn happy and healthy. More leaf surface to absorb the sun, as well as shading that root system, holding in that moisture in the soil during those precious dry months that you're going to be seeing. And the final thing we're going to be talking about is weed control. There's a lot of people that go ahead and start spraying weed control once you hit into these hot months in July and August. The way that weed control works in Canada and in the States, it is absorbed into the plant as it is growing. And if you are heading into a state of dormancy, your plant can no longer absorb the weed control because the plant is dormant. So staying away from weed control, they do have temperature restrictions for a reason. It's not just them, it's not a recommendation. The product will not work if the plant is not actively growing. So staying away from weed control for now is probably the best thing to do. If you are seeing a lot of dandelions or some other weed, go out and pull them by hand. For now, you can go ahead and tackle that weed control once we hit the later months in August, and that's probably going to be your best way to get on top of those weeds before your fall renovation. Another thing, fall renovation. We do hate to say it, but fall is going to be here before we know it. So getting prepared, thinking about what you're going to do for your fall renovation, thinking about what grass types you're going to plant. Stay tuned for my next video. We're going to be talking about all the different types of grass types over there and how they're doing, thinking whether there's areas of your lawn that you do need to renovate and all that stuff. So make sure you hit subscribe for more detailed content like that. So I think that's it for this video. As always, you can leave any questions, comments you have down below, or send them to my website, greatgreenearthlawncare.ca, or my email, greatgreenearthlawncare@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to answer them. From the Great Green North, my name is Wood Murray. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and keep it green.